Tom, welcome to Warsaw
Hello.
Confidential.
Hello.
How are you doing today? Good?
I'm great. I'm actually very excited. I am.
You look like. So let's
Thanks.
start from the beginning. And if somebody asks you, what do you do? What is your answer?
My simple, very short answer is that I'm a witch.
Okay.
And then stuff gets complicated.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
obviously in English, witch is a connotated with women.
Mm,
For me, it's a gender neutral word. Usually I would say I'm a brujo in Spanish because in Spanish you have bruja and bruja. So you have the differentiate in genders. You can differentiate the genders but by the word, whatever.
I see.
So I'm a witch, but what does it mean actually? In the normal human terms, I would call myself a psychic, a healer, a tarot reader. But at the same time, for me, those words are already kind of used,
Hmm.
and I don't feel they suit me in a way. Because for me, being a witch means connecting with myself, connecting with the world around me, which allows me to connect with people and help people, basically. So sometimes I like to call myself a modern witch because usually when you think of witch, you think of the witchcraft candles, incense smokes, crystal balls. No, I'm just there. I'm just there feeling things and talking with people, and that's all I need to do. My magic, basically.
Beautiful. So you are a witch. I actually love this. I love this concept of it's genderless. So what do you do exactly, and why does it matter?
What I do, I basically help people.
Mhm.
That's why I call myself a witch more than a healer, because usually people come to me with undefined problem. They know that something's wrong in their lives, and my job is about to defining the problem and fixing it in a way. Usually, when you say healer, you think of people who make medical miracles. I had a few in my career, but this is not a thing that I tend to focus on because basically my job is about connecting person with their heart. And there are different theories and different magical systems. It takes a longer explanation. Uh, but in my system of beliefs, in how I see the world, the more I help person to connect with themselves, the more miracles happen in the mind and in the body. So that's why I don't like the word healer because basically it means just healing the body or doing some
Right.
stuff with
Surface level, yeah.
others' energy. Like usually healer means oh Jesus, give me a second.
Take
No,
your time.
no, that was confusing. So basically, I like the word witch because healer usually is about just healing the body with your own energy. And for me, witch, multidimensional witch, whatever, is about connecting you with your heart. So, for example, if you were my client or patient, whatever, what I would do, I would use my energy and my skills to connect you with you. So you're aligned with yourself, and then the magic happens in your own system.
Right.
That's why I hate those psychic healer, tarot reader, all that stuff. It's just, it doesn't define what I actually do.
So before we dive into your job, your mission, the core values, and everything, I want to know about the context of all this. So, what
Mhm.
is the one thing you can tell me about your childhood that will help me understand who's sitting in front of me today?
Well, I can only quote a great pop culture philosopher, Lady Gaga. I was born this way.
Okay.
I really was. I mean, I do remember being a 4-year-old and looking at the river and searching for magic there, whatever that meant for me back then. So I guess I've always been spiritual. I was born in a bit spiritual family as well, so it was always
We're in
present.
Poland, right?
Yes,
Mm.
yes, I'm Polish. So I only can say I was born this way. But then a lot of people doing what I do, a lot of people working with people, they come from some kind of trauma.
Mm.
So in my case, I would say because I was bullied in the primary school, in the middle school, those magical words were my escape. Those were the places where I could really feel safe slash powerful. So I guess that's why they stayed with me my whole life. Then when I was 19, I decided to change my passion into profession, which is usually a difficult thing to do.
Right. So, when was that moment that you said, okay, I need to expand and make this my
I
life?
was 19.
19. Wow.
I was 19. Yeah.
And how old are you now?
I'm 37. Will be 37 this December.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's already long time working with
So like
people.
you are the master of these things, huh?
Well, honestly, I think I am. I think I am.
And how was your family reaction to this? Because you can't just go to your parents and say, "Hey, mom, I'm gonna be a witch." They
Well, actually, that's what I did, and you can
Mm,
imagine Polish mama reaction. Get a job, get a life, come on.
mm.
But the thing is, my mom who already passed away.
Sorry to hear.
Thank you. She used to be, when she was 18, 17, she used to be an actress and singer. And then she chose a safe life. She got a normal job and whatever. So my parents were always open to spirituality. My mom's sister in the 90s was doing all the feng shui courses, pendulum courses. I always read the esoteric press and books and everything since I was like very little. So it wasn't forbidden, but I think my mom wanted for me to have a normal, stable job out of a fear of choosing something, independent. It's always risky. So they weren't that happy about it, to be honest. I was stubborn. I'm a Capricorn, so a stubborn Capricorn.
How did you, let's say, fight this?
What do you mean?
Because she said, okay, you want to, she wants you to have a normal job, normal life. So how did you fight for your desires to do what you
I just
wanted?
did my own thing.
You just did listen, like, sorry guys, I'm doing my.
No, listening is to parents. That wasn't my strong suit. As I said, I'm very stubborn, very passionate, actually very driven person. So it was working for me. The first kind of small success was when I was 24, when there was first article about me in Esoteric Press. So I was like, it's going well, so let's keep it.
Mm.
And in this way, I was blessed because I was able to live with my parents till I was like 25, 24, something. So basically, I didn't have to worry about the bills or food, so I could pursue my passion. I was studying back then as well. It was amazing time actually.
So they did believe in you after all, because if you keep living with them.
No, they did believe in me, but
Mm.
they didn't believe in the lifestyle I chose. That was the question. Probably if you could have a normal 9 to 5 job as a witch, they would be happy that I have just a stable, normal job. That was the thing. I don't think it was about the subject that I chose. It was about the independent, risky lifestyle in a way. And at the same time, it's a very hard job working with people. It is a actually very hard work.
Mm. What do you mean by that?
Well, you feel other people's emotion, you process other people's emotions, you work with it, you listen to a lot. It I think I'm blessed in that way because it made me very distant person. Like I have a lot of distance to myself and to life. I don't take life seriously, but it's because I've heard people's stories. That's
Mm.
why. But
Mm.
so it leaves a mark inside of you. It leaves a mark.
So tell me, how does one become a witch? What did you do? What was this first steps?
So, as with every talent or every profession you want to choose, there is this part of talent and work. Mm, Like, even if you're a painter, you may be a talented painter with your imagination, but you still have to know how to paint.
Yeah, the skill.
So, in esoteric case, in spiritual case, it's about, well, it's a longer story actually. Because to put it simple, is about being a good witch is about knowing yourself, being in touch with yourself, which usually may be a challenge, much bigger challenge than you can imagine. Because it's about listening to your demons, to your fears, to your negative emotions, positive emotions, dealing with them and knowing them. And honestly, the way I see other people, they're usually afraid to see what's dark inside of them. They're afraid of being not perfect, angry, whatever. So this is the biggest challenge for me, like to be in touch with myself,
Hmm.
with the things I like and with the things I don't like about myself. There are some actually,
We'll
uh,
get to them.
but this is maybe not. But to be honest, this is this very simple answer. But the longer answer is about reading, meditating, getting to know different magical systems, because it's a lot of knowledge as in every area
Of
of
course,
life.
like technical, if you can
Yes.
say it like that. Yeah.
Well, even, learning about different theories, different
Mm,
approaches to esoterics, to spirituality, that gives you a perspective.
right. So, how do you define spirituality?
For me, it's just being connected with myself and other people and the world around me. It's just, that is the thing I learned many years ago, that there is no point in defining spirituality.
Mhm.
Uh, Actually, another thing about being a good witch is that our brain has the tendency to define everything.
Right.
We have cognitive dissonance when we don't know the names, the labels, whatever. Uh, I think it's the most important thing to be a good witch, to fight with this mechanism. Like in my spiritual journey, I used to define, I don't know, God, universe, angels, aliens, whatever. But then the model I created in my mind, it changed all the time. So at one point I said, just, fuck it.
Hmm.
Stop defining, start feeling. Start being connected, not trying to name whatever there is.
Do you think that nowadays people somehow abuse the world's spirituality? Because we see it all over social media. I'm spiritual, I'm this and that. And sometimes I can't help but feel it's always taken out of context.
I want to believe they know what they're doing, to be honest. I don't want to be. There is a part of me that is a hater of it, and I call it pop spirituality.
Right. There you go.
Uh, but at the same time, I want to believe they have good intentions and good heart in what they're doing. The thing is, with internet and social media and very easy access to knowledge, it's very hard to filter which what we're reading has quality or not.
Hmm.
So I don't know. All my life, I tried to not to be a very commercial
Right.
witch.
Right.
So I never done a reading for the day, or I don't know, YouTube horoscope or whatever. Because personally, I don't think it makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
Uh, what I did like to do, I was writing articles for magazines, and that's how I kind of spread my ideas or reach people. Um, what I'm seeing nowadays is just, let me think about it for a second. Um, when you're doing spiritual work, it's very easy to be good very easily, very quickly. It's not something completely very difficult or impossible to achieve. Even if you learn about tarot cards, actually, it's very easy to learn about them,
Hmm.
to learn how to read tarot cards. And actually, you can be quite good in predicting future, prognosing future, I don't know, after a month or two or three practice
Oh,
the
really?
cards. Yeah. Then, there is this level of doing normal stuff and there is this mastery level. That's that takes a lot of work and experience and meeting people. Because the better reader you are, the more people you met. Just the opposite. The more people you meet, the better reader you are. Because cards always need perspective, and the more you know about life or people, the more you see in the cards. But to describe some basic personality traits or being able to predict something in the future, it's not actually very difficult. So it's very easy for some people to get into God complex or to believe that they can do more than average person.
Hmm.
And I think that's the trap of modern spirituality. It's very easy to get followers as well. Well, we are all damaged. As I said before, a lot of therapists or especially spiritual people became spiritual because of the trauma and difficult experiences in their life. And well, no happy client will go to see a healer or a fortune teller.
Hmm.
Uh, and I mean that in a way that we are here to help.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to be very careful when you're working with people not to make them addicted from you,
Hmm.
for example,
Mhm.
not to give them false hope, not to become a false guru. I'm not saying people in social media, they becoming false gurus, But those are the traps of modern spirituality for me.
Hmm.
And here a disclaimer, maybe ask more questions because I'm thinking I'm getting
No, what you
this is
say?
confusing a bit. No, it's not.
No, I'm just like laying down the foundation for my big questions.
Okay.
So,
So that is the thing. I don't want to judge them in a negative way,
mm,
but I will say I have my concerns.
okay.
And some may say, who am I? I'm not even 40. Why I'm judging? I'm just, my way is a different way. That's why I'm judging, in a way, I guess. I'm more focusing on the traps and risk of very pop spirituality that I can see online.
Mm.
Yeah.
So when people come to you, what is the main concern or problem you see?
Lack of love, which is
Mm.
our own, everybody's problem, lack
Let's
of love.
expand on that.
Either we're afraid or angry we cannot love someone, or we don't love ourselves.
Hmm.
But then, obviously, lack of love manifests in a completely different, crazy 1 million ways in our lives. But if I were to say what is the root core, what is the core of our own all problems, it's lack of love.
Hmm.
Being afraid of loving or not loving yourself enough.
Hmm.
But then, someone may have money issues because of that, and someone may be an alcoholic. You never know.
Hmm.
But basically, I just talk with them at the beginning. I just talk with people that come to see me to figure out where the problem is. Because also oftenly people think problem is, I don't know, problems at work, not agreeing with the colleagues.
Hmm.
And when I'm doing my job, the problem is relationship with the husband. So a lot of times people kind of displace or the problem, or they think the problem is somewhere else. So also it's part of my job to be a detective or an investigator and really investigate what really matters for that person in their life right now. But even I do it. Even I misplace my problems. I don't know. I'm angry that the coffee is not tasty, but in fact I'm angry at something else. We all do it.
Right. So before somebody comes to, they obviously have to have this kind of open-mindedness to say, why not go to a classic psychiatrist or psychologist?
They should actually.
Mm-hmm.
They actually
Okay.
should try everything.
Mm.
That is the thing that I'm usually angry at my market or at the situation at my job, that people treat healers or fortune tellers as the last resort.
Mm.
I think we should try everything to help ourselves, even psychologists or psychiatrists. Well, psychiatrists is a different story because it's medical.
Yes, they give you.
I tend not to work with medical things, especially connected with mind. But psychologists, I oftenly recommend my clients to go to psychologists as well,
Mm-hmm.
because you know the process of healing takes time and discipline and effort. So it's not like I will do my magic and everything will be healed overnight.
Right.
I can point a direction, I can give you the power to work on yourself, but some people need discipline.
Mm.
So sometimes I do recommend my clients to see a psychologist.
Why you do it with someone, not with others? What do you see in them?
What do you mean?
Because you say sometimes I recommend to go to the psychologist when the case is like really complicated or something, or this is from what I understood from what you say.
Yeah. Let me gather my thoughts. So the thing is, sometimes in our lives there's just a knot, and we just need to get rid of it.
Mm.
There is a bump on the way, and sometimes those are many years of the defense mechanisms, or operating with this certain ideas about ourselves in our mind. So when there is a knot or the bump on the way, with this I can help during one session, for example. But when I can see that someone has a pattern of, I don't know, being abused by 30 years,
Mm.
that's work for psychology, because that needs discipline and working every day, every week on yourselves to change the way we think.
Mm.
That's the difference, because sometimes our emotions get so chaotic in a way that they block us. And that's for me. This blockage I can help with. But when I can see it's the wrong patterns of thinking in a way, that's a work for psychology.
Okay. All right. Let's now dive into the real stuff. So
Okay.
now
Now I'm
I've seen a psychologist, a psychiatrist, and I'm not happy with the result they are giving me, which is true. Was seeing a psychologist in 2019, I guess, and psychiatrist. Sorry, they gave me some pills. I took these pills, and I was feeling more depressed than before,
okay.
and I just said, "Nah, fuck this," and that was the beginning of my spiritual journey.
Oh, you're on one. Okay. Okay.
So I think in 2019 was for me the year that I said, enough is enough, because I've been on this crazy, let's say, lifestyle, partying and traveling and wasting money and all that stuff, and I didn't care about anything but me.
Sounds like fun.
No, hey, it was absolute
Sounds
fun.
like fun.
No, man, it was fun. A lot of maybe
And what
too
was
much
wrong
fun.
with it? What was
No,
wrong?
obviously you get to a point where you know this is not life. This is not all life. This is part of life, right?
Those are distractions.
Exactly. These are distractions, and I was too distracted. So I got unhappy, saw the psychiatrist, and she was just too boring. I'm telling her, and she's like,
Oh my God.
she's like,
I hope she's not watching this.
nah, it's okay. It's a confidential show.
Really? It's not even on YouTube.
And I think she said like two words in 1 hour, and I'm like, I felt nothing. Yeah, I came again, second session, third session. I said, no, I'm not doing this. It must be another way, and that was the beginning. Okay, and I met a person, and they say, you know what? Why don't you try a karmic healer or something like that? I said, no, come on, man, this thing doesn't work. What are you trying to? You have to. That's what I'm trying to get to. So if I come to you in 2019 and I'm telling you, look, man, I'm partying, doing all this crazy shit, and I feel deep unhappiness, how can you help me?
Well, first of all, I will tell you one simple sentence. Because of all the distractions and the very chaotic, intense lifestyle, you don't have the time to ask yourself, hey, Kamal, how are you?
Mm, mm,
And that would be the beginning of the job, of the work I will do with you. Because then, and that's the magic part, I would go back. Oh, that's going to sound crazy, whatever. I would go back in the past on the energy level, whatever, and try to find the places when you lost every puzzle of yourself, and I would try to connect them again with yourself.
I see.
Because yeah, the fun lifestyle, it's fun, but it's also just gratification of the body. I wouldn't call it empty.
It's like seeking pleasures all the time, constantly.
There's nothing wrong with that as well,
Mm.
if you have just the time to figure out what's going on inside of you. Because if someone is passionate about traveling or even partying, let's say he's a club journalist. So he's partying all the time and maybe traveling all the time. But if he's passionate about it and if it makes his heart happy, there's nothing wrong with that.
I see. Well,
It's very difficult to judge things black and white. They're not black and white. Like the most important thing is how are we feeling with ourselves at the moment? And if you are connected with ourselves or not. So you can be drunk as hell in the middle of the party and still be connected. And that's fine.
interesting.
But if you're running away from your heart partying, which that's in the most cases what happens,
Yeah.
actually, let's be honest. If you're running away from yourself, then you're going to end up miserable at the end of the day or whatever, the night.
Okay, so what about if I might call them this, the
Yeah.
technicalities? Because the numerology, this horoscopes, tell me about these things. I want to know how efficient they are.
That's actually a very good question.
I know.
And actually, I'm not sure I have an idea how to answer it.
We'll try.
Well, the thing is, the way I see it, I see those things like numerology, astrology, tarot cards, whatever, as a tool to try to read what's inside of us.
Hmm.
For me, well, I'm doing tarot cards. So for me, tarot is about prognosing what's going to happen.
Right.
And there is a reason I'm using the word prognosing, not predicting.
Yeah.
Because for me, tarot is about prognosing what's going to happen based on what's going on inside of us right now. So for me, those are tools that trying, now I'm going to say, let's, that's going to maybe sound cheap.
No, go for
But
it,
for
man.
me, those are the tools that are trying to read the language of the soul.
Hmm. I like that.
And they work differently. I'm, for me, they all are, uh, for me, they all are about potentials, not about defining us, but about saying what's in our potentials or not.
Mm.
Like numerology, astrology. I'm a bigger fan of astrology because it's much complex. It's a complex system, much complicated. I'm not an astrologist. I know some bases. It takes a lot of time to learn and practice because you have all the planets, all the signs, all the relationships between the planets. Every angle the planets lands in every zodiac sign has a meaning. So like it's a lot of knowledge. I never studied it perfectly. But for example, for me, astrology is a system that predicts the phases of our lives because of the transits of big planets and small planets, all that stuff. So it shows the general direction, I would say. Numerology probably shows our potential we were born with. And tarot for me is the best for answering like everyday dilemmas. Many astrologists maybe they will disagree with me, but
Mm.
astrology is not the best tool to solve everyday dilemmas. Astrology can explain
Picture.
why they're happening.
Ah,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
And then the tarot is like the daily.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
The
Okay.
tarot is more detailed.
So what is it like? I know you brought some cards here.
Yeah.
So what is it exactly? That's like, how does this work?
Oh, well, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Who know? Who
Mm.
knows? Who knows? Well, at least for me, shuffling the cards and looking at the cards, it puts me a bit in a trance,
Mm-hmm.
in a trance. And in a way, I see the cards as a storyboard of a movie.
Oh, okay.
But if you're ever gonna see me doing tarot cards, I mean, my technique is much different than most of the people because I threw a lot of cards on the table and I don't know, I feel it. I see things in them. Uh, Usually, you should read tarot in a different way, like in a more structured way.
Mm.
I'm just making chaos on the table. Sometimes I lay like 15 or 20 cards, and I just know what's in them.
Really? So tell me about this. I just know. What do you see?
Well, to be honest, that's the thing. It's very hard to define
Mm.
spirituality, and then there are some definitions, but in my opinion, they will be lacking
No, I see.
because from how I was trying to define how I work, it's just even though I have a lot of cards in front of me, I know intuitively which cards are more important, which are less important, and also I see the flow between the cards. Because basically you have good and bad cards in tarot. It's obviously much more complicated, but I look at the flow of cards, what's going on in the wave, how the wave is going. Sometimes I need just three cards because they're so vivid and I'm like, oh, okay,
You see the big picture.
there is no need to check further. But sometimes I like to put more cards and see the flow of energy. Like it is actually hard to describe
Hmm.
because I don't think words can really define this because there are many theories why tarot works, why it doesn't. Some may argue that it's a very universal set of symbols. Some people will say I see it in the cards. I will say the cards are just a tool for me to get in a state, trance, whatever. That's my definition of how I work. So basically, for me, it's just I'm more connecting. My consciousness is connecting with your consciousness,
Hmm.
and tarot is just a tool that helps me to connect with you. Some people will say that they see it in the cards and the cards are holy, the cards have some mystical energy. For me, tarot is just a cardboard. It's just printed cardboard. It's just a tool. But it's my personal approach. Some may disagree with me, and I respect that. And there are different theories to spirituality. The problem with esoterics and spirituality and everything together is that modern science needs two things to say that something is scientific. Cases have to be documented and then repeated in a controlled environment. Documented cases of healers, prophets, psychics, there are a lot of them. We cannot make the same experiment in controlled environment. That is the problem. And that is the same problem with describing it. We don't completely know how it works. Or we don't have the measurements for that yet, or we don't have the words. All I can say, all I can share with you, those are my theories.
Of course.
But at the same time, I'm aware that other people will have other theories, and they all may be the same valid. Like they all may have the same validity. For me, it's about, well, there is a old ancient Hawaii mysticism called Huna. And this is a philosophy that's kind of close to my heart. In Huna says that all we need is to be in touch with our inner child inside, which basically is our heart, which connects us to our higher self. And higher self is like an angel-like creature, the spiritual part of us. And Huna says that all the miracles and everything that happens in the spiritual world happens through the higher self. But the question is, and the tricky part is, to connect with your higher self, you have to be connected with your heart, your inner child, because the inner child in you is the part that connects with the higher self. That was a short introduction. And then Huna says that when we think about something, the energy slowly materializes, and then the events are happening in our life. So for me, tarot is a perfect tool to catch this process of materializing things. That's why I'm always saying that if you change the way you think, the outcome in the cards will change as well.
Right.
Because at least that is my personal philosophy, like using tarot in a kind of Huna meaning. I'm not a Huna practitioner. It's just through all the systems or religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs, I guess I'm closest to it in a way. Because it's the same with healing. As I said before, my job is about connecting you with you. According to Huna, I'm connecting you with your heart, with your inner child. Exactly. So through connecting you through inner child, I'm connecting you with your higher self. And then the magic happens. Yeah.
So when you mention the inner child, what do you mean exactly? Like connect with it?
Well, some people may call it subconscious, some may call it inner child. I'm going to call it heart because, at least according to psychological definitions, for example, in Freud, it was it. So it was like the animal part of us. According to Huna, it's just a small version of ourselves with the mentality of like 4-5 years old kid. I'm using the term heart because I'm mixing a bit of soul into all that equation. So I guess in my definition, heart will be all that together. So it's instinct, a bit of a soul, and a bit of a young us that is not so filtered by society, by expectations, by everything. Or I can also call it our emotional self. It's just all the mixture, at least for me.
Oh, that makes sense. Because if I think about it, like if I want to connect with my young child, it means only I just want to have fun, party, and create.
No,
No?
absolutely not. The creativity part,
Yeah.
that may be valid. With this, I can agree.
Like what a child usually does at this age, 4 or 5, drawing, running, playing.
But expressing himself or herself through drawing, through playing,
Right.
it's not only about having fun. We don't do meaningful things. Everything we do has a meaning, but it's our job to discover what meaning it is behind our actions. There are always multi-layered motivations to everything that we do. even as a kid. I can also say that I've seen kids being 4 or 5 already being very manipulative creatures.
Oh,
Like,
really? Wow.
we believe that kids are innocent, they're sweet. They're not always are. They're also human with very capable brain. So sometimes they know how to get attention or how to get a lollipop from mother.
Hmm.
Sure, they want a lollipop for quick gratification, but at the same time, at the age of 4, you already know how to manipulate your parents. Whether you do it consciously or instinctively, that's another topic.
Hmm.
So it's not like the kid only wants to have fun. It needs safety, love, expression,
Hmm.
freedom, a lot of things. It's not only about having fun.
So what happens when you connect with your higher self?
You get high. No, I'm kidding. It just gives you a peaceful feeling, I guess. It's just peace. It is peace.
Is that the aim? Is that the goal?
Well, again, for many people, the definition of being enlightened would be loving, caring, and accepting everything. For me personally, the definition of enlightenment is being indifferent,
Hmm.
is being a viewer of your own life, feeling emotions, but not going fully into emotions. For me, that at least that's my definition of my journeys and my experience of my spiritual journeys. Uh, the higher you get, the more indifferent you get in a way. And I don't mean cold in any way, just indifferent.
Hmm.
Uh, and when you connect with your higher self, because that was my personal experience, but if you were to connect with your higher self, probably you would feel calm, relaxed, maybe sleepy, at peace, with no pain in your body,
Hmm.
a lot of things. Yeah. But it's just this blissful, serene feeling, I would say.
Do you believe in the multiverse theory? Because from the conversations we're having, the stories, it's like the higher self is basically already out there, living in a parallel universe, and you just need to connect with it.
Or maybe living in the same universe, just on a different plane.
Could be.
That is the thing.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if multiverse exists or not.
Hmm.
I have no idea. Sometimes I may say I experienced it or seen it, but at the same time, was it true? Wasn't it true? No idea.
Hmm.
As I said before, it's very hard to define things. And I personally believe the more we're trying to define the undefined, the less we're focusing on our experience here and now. Like,
Hmm.
what's the point? I do believe that maybe when we die, you will get the answer if the multiverse exists or not. But right now, hey, let's enjoy being alive. No, I really mean it. It's just like, because right now I may say, yes, the multiverse exists. And then 2 years after, I will say, no, I was mistaken. Like, what is the point of it? I don't see
Hmm.
the point of it. We'll probably have to go through all the defining phase to get to the feeling phase. That maybe is the road. Uh, I don't know.
So maybe that's a good segue to talk a little bit about Poland,
Yeah.
because it's a very Catholic country, as we know. Yet the esoteric market is booming. So, can you explain here the paradox?
Well, our Polish people being Catholic, we were born with being Catholic in a way. It's not like we're really practicing
Hmm.
it. We're not practitioners. I mean, some of us are, obviously. Uh, but especially nowadays, we're Catholic on paper. At the same time, we're kind of superstitious
Hmm.
society. We still believe in the spiritual, much more than the Germans, for example. I think it comes from our Slavic origin in a way. Um, so we have kind of double standards because obviously the Catholic Church forbids anything like healers, tarot
Right.
cards, whatever.
Hmm.
But a few clients, especially older ones, tells me what happened on the mass in church, and then they have a healing session with me. I start being confused. That this is kind of the way it is in Poland. But a lot of people, especially in smaller cities or villages, they still believe in the spiritual. But I would say even in bigger cities, even like Warsaw, I still have clients from Warsaw. And that's the thing about Polish spirituality. And a lot of times I hear like, hey, I would recommend it to my friend or colleague from
Mm.
work. I know you would help her, but at the same time, I don't want her to know that I'm using such services. Yes.
Why? So tell me about this. Why this shame?
Oh, that's a very complicated subject. I think it has to do with the image of our market, especially in
Mm.
Poland. Not many tarot readers are considered serious people in a way. There are a few, or were because they died on the market, that, for example, they had PhD in anthropology and they were famous tarot readers as well. But they made their career in kind of science, in academic science, and then also in spiritual way. And stop. Uh, sorry, I got lost a bit.
No, you're doing great.
What was your question again? Why? Okay, yeah.
Why this shame?
Why the shame? Yeah, I think it has to do with the image of how society in general sees tarot readers or healers, basically as crazy people,
Mm. Yeah.
as weird, crazy people that they're kind of hard to connect with. When someone is, very mundane in a way, maybe they think it's impossible to connect with the crazy people, crazy spiritual people. It is, for me, it is also a dilemma because I can talk with you about chakras, aliens, demons, ghosts, but why should I?
Mm.
I think it's more important to talk about things that are more material in a way, but you can connect with, than all the spiritual bullshit or reality that I've been through in my life. So that is the change of focus in a way in your communication. And I think a lot of people spiritual market, on spiritual market, they tend to, oh, there's a full moon tonight, this and that. Oh, Mercury is in retrograde, this and that. And they seem kind of crazy even to me from time to time. So maybe that's the problem. That's why people are ashamed of using such services or saying such people, healers, psychics.
Mm.
Because a lot of them, even the image of a psychic
Yeah.
is a lady with weird hair sitting in front of crystal ball. Obviously, psychics are not like this. Hello.
Yeah, yeah, but we get the image, the caricature, yeah.
Yeah, it is a bit of caricature.
Right.
There's also problem of, well, in my opinion, it's kind of a perpetuum mobile. Now I will be controversial with what I'm gonna say,
Go for it.
but a lot of people choose normal life than to be on the spiritual market. Um, so that's why people who choose only the spiritual market, sometimes they're actually kind of weird
Mm.
in a way. It also has, oh, wait, no, whatever. I think it's also about academic background, the level of education, and it's not about being stupid or not educated. The thing when you go to university and you get the higher education, it teaches you to question yourself.
Mm.
And that's the same thing I started with before. That a lot of people, especially with online modern pop spirituality, they don't seem to question themselves.
Mm.
They seem, at least for me, too sure of what they're doing. And sometimes it becomes a bit of caricature. So I think that's the reason of shame, of shaming this market, because sometimes it is becoming a caricature, unfortunately.
Right. Hmm. Interesting.
Mm.
So
Did it make sense?
yeah, this it's the background, the culture, because I come from Morocco, as you know, and we do have our fair share of witches,
Yeah.
the black magic. I don't know
Yeah.
if you're aware of that things. I but personally, when I was growing up, I completely did not believe in these things.
Mhm.
My father is an engineer. He's very mathematical and logic, and this, and he made sure that we are this way. That's why I told you in 2019 it was like my spiritual awakening.
Mhm.
But my whole life I was like, nah, this shit is not working, because the story began when my late grandma, may she rest in peace, she had a stroke, and she lost her half body basically.
Oh.
So, her leg, hand, leg, the whole half brain dead. So she
Mhm.
couldn't do anything. Obviously, she seen all the doctors. We were spending all its money. And I was young. I think I was maybe 10 or 11. And one day I went to my grandma's house, and I've seen these people, these weird people, doing some weird dances and some rituals. And this guy, he's just like killed this goat. It was
Wow.
like the exorcist stuff,
That's the old stuff. Yeah, that's the old stuff.
and
Old-fashioned stuff.
because I was not supposed to be there and see this thing, but I was a kid, just I was fucking
Mhm.
around, and it was like my mom, she was shocked. She's like, "What are you doing here? You're supposed to be in school." And I was like, "What is this?" I was shocked, and so I grew up with this prejudice that this is fucking bullshit. This is not working, yeah. And the proof is my grandmother. She was not healed because this was a stroke. Anyway, what I'm trying to get to is for a longest time, and I think I still am, have this logical brain telling me, you know what, this is not, this does not work, yeah. But yet, the spiritual part of me want to believe, because I believe in magic, and I I think it was 2 years ago. I actually went when I was searching for answers, and I think I told you this when we met in San. I told you that I went to a karmic healer, and she helped me tremendously
Mhm.
of what she said, the numbers that I was telling you about, and it just makes sense for me. And she explained to me, she gave me some ideas that really, really opened my
Mhm.
mind and heart. And I will go ahead and share with them. The first one that she said, and you can comment on this. The first one, she said that you are sometimes too helpful, and you are too generous, and you're creating an imbalance in the universe.
Okay.
So she said that, for example, you help some people that should not be helped, and yet you still help them. And you have to be very careful who you are helping. And for me, it opened my mind, because I was thinking that is true. Sometimes I just don't care, like here I give money to this, to that. Even sometimes I don't have money and I give it away. And what is the other thing? And then the other thing that she said that I lost the power of trusting my instinct, which I
Mhm.
run my whole life with. I was like always trusting my instincts, because when I came to Poland, I felt that I will do great things here. And I said, I stay, even though I was just a few days. Yeah.
Okay.
And with this partying and all this craziness, I lost this power. And to me, that was really eye-opening, because there was no crazy magic, nothing. It's just basically ideas,
That's a bit my point of
right?
all the things I said before. It's not about killing ghosts, but with the helping part.
Yes.
On this, I have to comment.
Please.
I have
Yeah.
to apologize.
That was the whole idea.
I have to comment on this
Right.
because with the instinct, it's the same as I said. You lost your heart, that
Yeah.
heart. So
Yeah.
this is for me saying what I said. With helping others, well, it's very easy to say that you're creating an imbalance in the universe, which for me is a bit empty words.
Mm-hmm.
Because the question is, when we help others, do we really help, or are we buying something that we're not getting?
Mm.
With helping others or giving money or whatever, we always have to really, really ask ourselves why we are doing this. Because on the surface level, maybe we're just trying to help. Maybe on a deeper level, you were trying to get friends or attention or love in the wrong way.
Mm.
So it's not that I don't believe in helping others. I do believe in helping others, but it's a great philosophical question: egoism versus altruism.
Mm.
So I don't believe in something like balancing the universe. I would say there is a chance you are hurting yourself by helping those
Yeah.
people.
Right. I think that was the point.
But it's imbalancing you, not in the universe. That is the thing.
No, no. The idea was like, because upsetting the universe. So that's why I have, in, for example, let's say
Yeah.
money problems. My company was, diving down, and I couldn't. I was like, what's going on? I'm a good guy. I do these things. So that was the point. And she said, because life basically is about karma and balance and energy, and you're creating this imbalance. I'm not gonna lie. I started to really think, who am I helping? To
No,
think about it twice before I do it.
no, that makes sense. If
Mm.
people are worth it, and
Yeah,
if those are good friends, but people you can count on in the
right.
future. But for me, it's about investing not only money, but our emotions. Money is just a tool or a mean, whatever.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying I wouldn't focus on disbalancing the universe, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But just wasting your energy and
Mm.
hurting yourself back in the process. Because a lot of times when we help, we expect something in
Something.
return, at least for those people to help have our back
Right,
in
exactly.
simple
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And if they don't do it,
Then,
we're hurt.
right.
Just like
That's
this.
what usually happens, right?
Yeah.
I've helped thousands of people, and I don't expect nothing from them.
Well, you never know. But that is the thing. You
So,
never know. You never know if deep inside you maybe expected something. I don't know. It's just a possibility. That is the thing for me, the beauty of human mind and human nature, that we can always ask another questions and go deeper with other questions and other questions. That is fascinating. Sometimes scary, as I said before, because let's say, for example, that you help those people, but just for the sake of
yeah.
example right now,
Mm.
let's say you help those people just to get their attention for a second, or a second of love or appreciation. It's not a nice thing to know about yourself, actually.
Yeah, true.
So it takes courage to see yourself in every aspect. It's like a prism. I like the prism metaphor that there is one action, but the reflections may be very different depending on the circumstances, depending on our emotions, everything.
Right.
Because, it sounds very nice. Oh, you helped too many people, you disrupted the balance in the universe.
Mm.
Well, for example, I could say maybe you were a loser trying to buy friends. And then you hurt yourself in the process because you trusted the wrong people. Maybe. I'm not saying it
No,
happened.
I know, I know.
I'm just saying that I usually tend to, watch human being from different angles and different perspectives. Because for me, saying that the disrupting balance in the universe, I mean, okay, but
You stuck to this idea, huh?
what does it mean?
Well, it kind
What
of
does it mean? It means
the
nothing.
karma level. There's like a karma account, and everyone should.
But can we measure the karma?
No, you can't, obviously.
Can you measure being hurt by people you shouldn't trust?
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
So what's the
Absolutely.
point of talking about karma and using such big words? As I can say,
Well,
we can talk about spirituality in things you can really feel and really measure in a way.
well, to be fair, I should have given you a bit of context, because the story goes like this. I have been betrayed by my very, very best friend. Yeah. He uh he betrayed me in the most, I don't know how to say it, the word I'm looking for, unexpected way, let's say, obviously, as every betrayal.
Stab you in the back.
Exactly. And I think this guy, I've helped him so much. I helped him establish his business. Basically, the life he's living now is thanks to me. And I'm saying this it sounds arrogant, but
It's not going to be on YouTube. You don't have to worry.
so, and I think from this, that's why I was asking, is like, for example, this guy, I gave him this, I showed him this, how to do the business, online, all that stuff. And yet he stopped me in the back. And I couldn't, and that was the reason. She said, well, here's what I see. I see, because you're helping people a lot, and some people, they should not be helped.
But the question I would ask you, if you were my client, patient, whatever, did you, maybe there is a chance you liked being a mentor, for example. Maybe you like the mentoring part. So then if you did, the word helps, that you helped, gets a smaller meaning. Because there was something in it for you being a mentor, for example. That may be exciting for someone. especially for a guy, that may be really exciting, being a teacher. So maybe you get pleasure from being a teacher as well.
No, for sure.
So, it's tricky, it's risky, it is complicated. We will not get to the bottom of this here because I'm just showing you different examples just for you to understand. I'm not reading you or
No.
in any way. I'm just showing you different
Perspective,
angles,
yeah.
different perspectives of the
How could you
same
see it?
situation or how could you or how you felt inside in that situation.
Well, right now I am at peace with it, to be honest, because I understood that sometimes people hurt us unconsciously without even realizing that they are hurting us.
Usually in such situations, unfortunately, there are a lot of red flags that we feel, but we just tend to ignore. That's why I use this part of you like being a mentor, because for me, it would explain a lot why you ignored the red flags before. Because being a mentor or being a teacher gave you enough ego pleasure, unfortunately, that you decided, no, it's good investment, no matter the red flags. Honestly, we always see the red flags.
Yeah.
Even with friends,
Choose to ignore them.
even with random people, we see the red flags. We just choose to ignore them for whatever the reason. There is always ego reason or ego pleasure or gratification on a very surface level. That's why I'm unfortunately or fortunately using this mentorship part,
Yeah.
because that was pleasant for sure. I mean, I love teaching myself.
Right.
So it's a nice emotion that we're giving ourselves when we are a teacher and we have a student that listens. So maybe that was the reason you ignored the red flags with that guy before, because there was something that you were taken from the relationship in a way.
Interesting. I will should on a retro perspective analyze this.
Those are just maybes.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are just maybes. But just for me saying you imbalance the karma is just not enough.
You're still stuck there. Okay, never mind.
Yes. No, I'm not stuck. I'm just like,
okay.
I needed to give you a long explanation.
All right. Next, you mentioned that you don't believe in God. Can you expand on that?
Yes, I will try. I don't think there is a need for God in any way. I will come back to Huna in what I said, that all we need is to be in touch with higher self. And also Huna says that gods exist, God or gods plural, but we don't need to be in touch with them because we are enough for ourselves. So it's not like I don't believe in God. I don't care about that God, about God. That's different. Because I've seen, met, I don't know, talked with different godlike creatures, plural. But honestly, in my journeys, I never met this idea of love and light that everybody says about. If I were ever to define God, it would be an kind of indifferent, warm, light creature, but still kind of indifferent. Maybe not loving everything, embracing everything, just being there and observing everything that's happening. And also, for example, another magical system or tradition, the newest one called the Chaos of Magic. It says that there are creatures called god forms. So, for example, there is Aphrodite, right? The goddess of love.
Yes.
And whether she was there and people started worshiping her, or people started worshiping an idea of Aphrodite, they created Aphrodite because of the faith. That's called, that's what's oh, that what God form is in Chaos Magic. The Chaos Magic defines the existence of gods, maybe by the power of people worshiping them, or maybe that creature being existed in the past. So I really like that approach, that if some people worship a deity, it's brought to life. It's the question, what was the first, the hen or the egg? I mean that's the question. I mean, different spiritual approaches, different spiritual systems have different approaches towards gods. In my personal opinion, we don't need God. I mean, we are responsible for ourselves, and all we need is ourselves. In a good way, not in an egocentric way. It just, if we are at peace with ourselves, the miracles will happen, the reality will align. Or even if the reality doesn't align, we know how to process difficult emotions because we are in touch with ourselves. So there is no need for any being to protect me or help me or save me or whatever, how people see God. Because if I'm in touch with myself, I can go through a storm. It's not like the storm will not happen. Probably it will happen. It's life. Storms happen. But if I have myself, at the end of the day, I will go through the storm. So my idea about God is I hope it didn't sound confusing, but it's not like I don't believe in God. It just there is no need for God. As I see people and societies in general, we tend too much to focus on some outside power, outside being, instead of being a nice beings ourselves. Because also that's the outcome of being in touch with yourself. You're a nice person. You're a good person. You don't need any laws telling you what to do, but you have yourself and you don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to hurt other people. But it's for me, it's all about being connected with yourself. That is the issue here, I guess. So whether there is God or gods or they're not there, all I care is about being with me and being a nice person, loving person, being nice to others. For me, those are the important things.
A lot of people associate God or gods with like a meaning of life, because if we have someone not necessarily to worship but to look up to, for example, it helps you with the daily problems. You know, you have something and then you say, God, please help me, and then you feel there is this connection between you and the higher force, if I
Maybe it's the same feeling they get from, as I say, connecting with higher self.
right.
Maybe it's another maybe, because like in Huna tradition, higher self is like angelic, godlike kind of creature, our higher dimension. Maybe that's the feeling they get of connecting with themselves. For me, the meaning of life is having fun, but it's very difficult to
Define
define
fun.
what really makes us happy. Because as you were partying, traveling, and everything, it was fun,
Oh yeah.
but it destroyed you as hell
Yeah,
in the process.
yeah. I mean, I learned from this experience a lot of things.
Sure, we do learn, but then it was fun in a very stereotypical way. It
Yes,
wasn't
true.
fun for your heart.
Right,
So
exactly.
that's why I'm always I'm a trickster in a way with this, because I'm saying the life purpose is to have fun, but it takes a lot of time to define what fun means to our heart. Because it's not the definition of fun in that way. I have a friend right now from US, and I always have this conversation with him. I'm
Yeah.
like, why you're not happy? No, I'm happy, everything's fine. Why you're not happy? And then 5 minutes later, and then when I have a session with him, I'm like, figure out what gives you fun. And he's like, no, I have a fun life. I travel, I party, everything. I'm like, no, those are distractions and ego gratification things. This is not fun for your heart. That is the issue, and that's the trick here, to define what fun is. But then for me, we don't need any more purpose or meaning or mission. What for? I mean, we have so many things, so many reasons to feel special and unique. Why look for non-existent ones? Just look at what's inside of you to make you feel special. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We want to feel special, asking those difficult questions, having all those difficult answers, having this meaning or a mission or whatever. Well, is it true? Maybe it isn't. But yeah, I have a mission. Now I will go be a soldier. I'm gonna have the fight for my mission. I'm like, what for? Netflix and chill. That was a joke, obviously. It wasn't Netflix and
Well,
chill, but figure out what. Well, a lot of times, we tend to fulfill some social roles, to
right.
meet some archetypes. Savior is one of the archetypes. I mean, just have fun, but in a good way. That's why I said that you can really be having fun and not damaging yourself at midnight in a club, even drunk. Sure, alcohol is not healthy.
Yeah,
Full stop. That is obvious.
of course.
But I'm not the person that's gonna say, oh, you should avoid alcohol or this or that or this and that. Because we are human. it makes us human at the same time. But it's all about proportions, about why we're doing this. Sometimes even a bottle of wine will not hurt you. And sometimes the same bottle of wine may hurt us a lot. Sure, it's healthier not to drink, full stop. But a lot of people, especially when we talked about pop spirituality, they're like, don't eat meat, it lowers your vibrations.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Don't drink alcohol, it lowers your vibrations, blah, blah, blah. But the trick part is sometimes being so focused on rising your vibrations will make them low as hell.
That's a good point.
Because it's about freedom, again, having fun, being happy, being a good person, being empathic person, all this stuff. And it's not about another homework to fulfill.
Yeah, like a to-do list. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a to-do list to rise your vibrations. Sometimes you may have very high vibes after a bottle of wine, and sometimes your vibes will be low as hell. For example, because at least for me, red wine is a thing that really relaxes me and takes the load off, like the things from the surface. So then I'm more connected after a glass of wine. So in a way, yeah, alcohol lowers vibrations, but in my case, it makes them higher because like the human stress, the human part, the load is kind of relaxed. So I have the space to be more connected with myself because it's impossible to be always connected. It's impossible. I mean, even for me, I'm like, sometimes there are days when I'm crazy angry or just crazy sad. And then I have to do the work and reconnect with myself, and then things get better. But it's impossible to stay connected 24/7. It's impossible. I mean, maybe when you're Buddha or maybe when you're in Tibet meditating all the time, not being surrounded by other outside world, maybe yes, but it's not for me, not yet.
So here's my $1 million question. Are you happy?
As always, it's complicated.
Of course. What isn't?
Define happiness in a way.
I'll let you do that.
Well, to be honest, I am happy and I'm not happy at the same time. Because thanks to my work, probably, and thanks to my life experience and how I see life and how I see myself, there is a lot of peace in my heart. So, on a spiritual level, I would say I'm happy. But on a human level, there is a lot of dreams I still want to fulfill and ambitions I want to fulfill. So, on that level, like the to do list, it's a long list to do. So, on that level, I will not say I'm happy. I am fulfilled, but I want to be fulfilled more. But the most important thing, like calmness in the heart, that I had.
Hmm.
But then I want love, I want this, I want this, I want a lot of things. I mean, being human is fun.
Really?
That is the thing. A lot of people who are doing spirituality, they tend to run away from being human. I want to be as human as I possibly can. So there is so much things to do, so much nice clothes to buy, so much nice places to go.
Mm.
Let's have fun. I mean,
Enjoy the ride.
enjoy the ride. Exactly. Just do it from the right reasons. I hope mine are right. I hope. But some of my ambitions are also ego driven, and that's fine as well. But I am honest about it with myself. So yeah, I am trying to keep human as much as possible. So yeah, in a way I'm happy, in a way I'm not happy, to be honest, answering your question.
So tell me, or maybe don't, about something important in your field of work that we haven't talked about today.
Well, it's not important for me, but it's important thing to be said, I believe. Healers shouldn't mess with medicine.
Hmm.
And this is a thing that I really sometimes see on my market, and I want to criticize that. Because if you are a doctor and a healer, sure, state your opinion about medical things. If you're just a healer or a psychic, please don't.
Hmm.
I mean, it's not like our medicine is great and it knows it all. No, obviously it doesn't. But at the same time, I mean, a lot of years of studying and experience versus a vision you had, I mean, at least be humble and at least be delicate. what happened during the coronavirus pandemics,
Yeah.
especially on my market, it was terrifying for me
What happened?
because all of a sudden, every second psychic, maybe every third psychic, I don't know, but a lot of people from my community became experts on viruses and epidemics and vaccines, and I was like, damn, damn. It's natural to question things, but you have to be careful about stating your own mind. I think that's the thing that's repeating during this conversation a lot of times. As we were talking about you, there are angles, perspectives, everything. So sometimes you should be careful with stating your mind, especially if you don't have like proper knowledge. And a lot of times, I hope not, but there have been cases that healers or alternative medicine people, they hurt people. So that is the thing that I'm really cautious about. When my clients are asking me about medical things, I'm like, I will tell you what's wrong with your body. I may try to tell you, but I will point you to the right doctor. Well, once, supposedly, I saved life of my client's mother because my client asked me about her mother's health. And I was like, she needs to see a cardiologist ASAP. And the doctor said, wow, you came in the last month.
Wow.
So that was a nice story. I also did some medical miracles in a way as a healer, but still, it's not my job to diagnose or to heal the body. Every time a client is asking about something medical or for healing session or for tarot, I'm like, my first question is, have you seen a doctor? If you did, great. I can give you my perspective, but it's only my perspective. And that is a thing that I'm really angry, I guess, about my market sometimes. And maybe that's why it sometimes is a caricature, as you talked before, that we don't have all the answers. Even during our conversation, when you ask me difficult questions about the universe or whatever, I don't have the answers. My job is also about giving you perspective and perspective and perspective and making you asking the right questions. That is my job about. It's not about the answers, it's about questions a lot of times. As a healer, when I'm doing tarot cards, sure, I'm giving the answers. That's obvious. I'm giving the answers. But as a healer, my job is about digging to the core of you so you can ask yourself the right questions. We psychics or healers, we don't have all the answers. We can guide you in the right direction, but I mean, that is the thing I want to warn people about a bit. If someone is giving you the answers and telling you the only proper way to live, I'm not sure he or she is an expert in what they're doing. Because there is no recipe for happiness. There is no recipe, there is no scheme, there is no system to work with humans' energy, even. Because there are some theories about chakras, this and that, energy fields, this and that. Every system is different. There is no recipe, especially in spirituality. Maybe one day, when the science catches it and we'll be able to measure it, maybe we will start to understand it like scientifically. Then maybe we'll have some answers.
That makes sense.
But right now, it's just every healer, every psychic experience.
Beautiful. Well, can we have a practical case? Can you do some reading now?
For you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What,
maybe we
the
can.
audience, is watching.
Maybe we can.
Is it possible, or it has to be like intimate?
Well, it's up to you. It's not like it's gonna be on YouTube as we talked before, right?
It's on YouTube and everything, my man. And Netflix. It's gonna be on Netflix.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Come out. You wanted the reading.
Yes.
Are you sure? It's not gonna be on YouTube. You know that. You sure?
Is the whole world gonna see this? Let's see.
So let's see what the cards have for you in store. I'm gonna check a general vibe for you first.
Please do.
Then you may have some questions. We'll start.